What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, what took you so long? I'm your friend Raj, and you're watching Dark Vibes Official. Today, I bring you another scary and true story. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, Dark Vibes Official yet, then do so soon. Before we get started tonight, I need you to do me a quick favor. Take a look at the comments section below this video. Go on, I'll wait. You'll see hundreds, thousands of comments from people all over the world sharing their own creepy experiences. A lot of them end with the same three words: it mimicked a voice. A voice of a loved one, a child crying, a friend calling for help from where no friend could possibly be. That thread, that specific chilling detail, connects so many modern encounters to one of the oldest and most feared entities in North American folklore. An entity so dangerous, there are cultures that believe even speaking its name at night is an invitation. Tonight, we are speaking its name. We are pulling back the skin on the legend of the Skinwalker. This isn't a campfire story. Consider this a briefing, because if you ever find yourself on a dark road, in deep woods, or even in your own backyard, and you hear something you love calling out to you, you need to know what you're really dealing with. And more importantly, you need to know the one thing you must never, ever do. Before we start, I need you to do me a quick favor. Look around the room you're in right now. Listen to the sounds, the hum of the fridge, the distant traffic, maybe a clock ticking. Normal, safe sounds. I need you to remember this feeling, the feeling of being secure, of knowing the boundaries of your world. Because what we're talking about tonight doesn't just break those boundaries, it mocks them. It wears them like a skin. We're not talking about ghosts tonight. We're not talking about demons from old books. We're talking about something older, hungrier, and far more intelligent. Something that doesn't haunt houses. It haunts landscapes. It haunts the edges of your vision on a long, dark road. It haunts the silence between the cricket chirps in the deep woods. Tonight, we're talking about the Skinwalker. And this isn't a campfire story. This is a warning, drawn from the heart of Navajo Diné beliefs, a culture that has lived with this reality for centuries. To them, it's not a legend, it's a fact of the dark, a consequence of violating the most sacred taboos. The Navajo word is Yee Naaldlooshii. It means, with it he goes on all fours. A witch. A person who has gained immense, terrible power by committing the ultimate act of transgression, the killing of a close family member. With that blood sacrifice, they cross a line. They are given, or they take, the ability to become, to transform, to wear the skin of any animal they desire. A coyote, a wolf, a bear, a crow, a fox. But here is the first and most important thing to understand. It is not shape-shifting as you see in movies. It is not a beautiful, magical thing. It is a perversion. When a skinwalker wears the hide of a wolf, it does not become a wolf. It becomes a wrong wolf. A wolf that stands just a little too tall on its hind legs. A wolf with eyes that hold a cruel, knowing human intelligence. A wolf's joints bend in ways that make your stomach clench. It is a masterpiece of wrongness, designed to inject pure primal terror directly into your nervous system. They don't just imitate the form, they imitate the sounds. This is their most infamous and most terrifying weapon, the mimicry. Imagine this, because it's a story told over and over again in the Southwest. You're camping in the deep, pine-scented emptiness of the Navajo Nation near Monument Valley. The fire is embers. The canyon walls are giants sleeping against a sky dusted with a million stars. It's the most profound silence you've ever heard. And then, a voice.
It's your buddy's voice from the other side of the campsite. "Hey, come here. I twisted my ankle." It sounds pained, scared. Your instinct is to jump up, to help. But you just saw your buddy walk into the tent to get a sweater. You heard the zipper. He's right behind you. You call out, "John? That you?" And from the darkness beyond the firelight, John's voice comes back, laced with a sob. "Please, it's bad. It's broken." But then, your actual friend John stumbles out of the tent, his face pale in the firelight. "Dude," he whispers, his voice cracking. "Who are you talking to?" The voice from the dark stops. The silence that follows is heavier than before. It's a listening silence. And then you hear it. Not a voice this time. The sound of pebbles skittering. Something moving on four legs just beyond the circle of light. It's circling you. That is the game. It lures, it separates, it uses your love, your concern, your most human instincts against you. It will mimic a crying baby to draw a mother out into the night. It will mimic the voice of a lost hiker pleading for help. Some accounts say it can project its voice, throwing it like a ventriloquist, so the plea comes from right behind you when the thing is 100 yards away. Its goals are as twisted as its form. Sometimes it's to cause fear for fear's own sake, to feed on that dark energy. Sometimes it's to steal, to spy, to spread illness, often by using corpse powder, made from the ground bones of the dead blown into a victim's face. Sometimes, and most chillingly, its goal is simply to make you see it, to acknowledge its existence, because in that moment, the connection is made, and it can follow you home. Which brings us to the rules, the don'ts you hear from those who grew up with these stories in their blood. First, and most absolute, you do not speak its name. You do not say Skinwalker lightly, and you never say it out loud at night in the places it calls home. To name it is to invite its attention, to say, "I am thinking of you," and it will come to see who is calling. In this video, I am breaking that rule. I am saying the name, so we must be very, very careful in our thinking. Second, you do not look at it directly. If you see it, a dark shape loping alongside your car on a lonely res road, keeping pace with 40, 50 miles an hour, you do not stare. Averted eyes are a form of respect, but also a form of protection. A direct gaze is a challenge. It is a connection. It is an open door. Third, you do not follow it. No matter what it mimics, no matter how convincing the voice, you do not leave your circle of light, your car, your house. You must outwait the dawn. It is a creature of the darkest hours. Now, let me tell you a story. Not a secondhand one. One told to me by a friend who spent his summers with his grandparents near Tuba City. He asked me never to use his real name, so I'll call him David. David was about 14, a modern kid into video games and movies. The old stories were just that to him, stories. His grandfather would warn him not to be out after dark, to come home when the canyon shadows grew long. David, being 14, felt invincible. One evening, he'd been exploring a dry wash further from the house than he was allowed. He found a cool cave formation, lost track of time. When he checked his phone, it was dead, no signal anyway, and the sun was a dying ember on the horizon. He started the hour-long walk back, the first true stars pricking through the violet sky. He was about halfway home when the feeling hit him. The feeling of being watched, not from one direction, but from all around. The desert, usually so full of tiny sounds at dusk, went utterly quiet. No crickets, no wind, just the sound of his own sneakers on sand. Then he heard a howl. It was close, too close. It was a coyote's howl, but off. It sounded like it was trying to form words, a wet, guttural singing sound that raised every hair on his body. He started to run. From his left, he heard a crashing in the scrub oak, something big. He glimpsed it, a large, dark shape, low to the ground, but moving with an unearthly, fluid speed. It wasn't running like a coyote. It was gliding. His grandfather's words slammed into his mind. Don't look. Don't acknowledge. He forced his eyes down, staring only at the path ahead, his lungs burning. Then, from right beside him, so close he could feel the breath of the words, came a whisper. It was his grandfather's voice, but it was strained, sickly. David, Shiaz, my grandson, help me. I fell. His heart shattered. His grandfather was old. What if it was true? The logic of fear warred with the deeper, older warning. The voice came again, now from ahead, right in his path. David, I'm here. I'm hurt. It was the slight wrongness that saved him. His grandfather would never call him David. He used a Navajo nickname. This voice, this thing, didn't know that. Tears streaming down his face, David did the hardest thing he's ever done. He ignored the voice of his beloved grandfather pleading in the dark. He put his head down and ran, chanting a prayer his grandfather had taught him as a child, a simple one for protection, over and over in his mind. He could hear it keeping pace with him, just in the brush. He could smell it, a hot, coppery, wild stench. It didn't attack, it just herded him. It played with him. Finally, he saw the lights of his grandparents' house, the front porch light, a tiny beacon. As he burst into the circle of that yellow light, he dared one glance back. At the edge of the darkness, where the light met the void, stood a figure. It was on two legs but hunched. It was shrouded in shadow, but for a moment the starlight caught two eyes. They didn't shine like an animal's. They were dark, deep, and utterly human. And they were filled with a kind of malevolent amusement. Then it was gone. David stumbled inside, sobbing. His grandfather was right there, perfectly healthy, watching the news. He took one look at David's face, at the terror in his eyes, and without a word, he went to the door. He took a pinch of sacred corn pollen from a pouch, whispered a blessing, and sprinkled it on the threshold. He locked the door, pulled the curtains closed, and said, "You looked at it." David could only nod. His grandfather sighed, a sound of deep weariness. "Then we will wait, and we will not speak of it again tonight." For the rest of that night, and for many nights after, David heard things. Scratches on the wooden siding, sounds on the roof. Once, a perfect imitation of his grandmother's voice calling his name from outside his locked bedroom window. They never acknowledged it. They burned juniper branches to cleanse the air. They lived with the presence until, slowly, like a predator losing interest in a fortified prey, it went away. David told me, I used to think magic and monsters were about power, about being strong. That thing wasn't about strength. It was about corruption. It was the universe gone wrong, and the only thing that saved me wasn't being brave. It was remembering who I was. It was remembering my real grandfather's love. That thing could mimic his voice, but it could never understand that love. That was the wall it couldn't cross. That is the essence of the Skinwalker. It is the ultimate violation of nature, of family, of the self. It is a person who chose to become a monster. And that is perhaps why it is so terrifying. It reminds us that the line between human and monster is not a chasm. It is a choice, a single, horrific, blood-soaked choice.
So, what do you do if you ever think you've encountered one? The advice is simple and ancient. Get inside. Lock the doors. Do not look out the windows. Do not answer the calls. Turn up the lights, turn up the mundane noise of the TV or radio, surround yourself with the familiar, and wait for the sun. Because the Skinwalker, for all its power, is still a creature of the night. The dawn is its enemy. The first rays of sunlight don't just make it flee, they force it back into whatever twisted human shape it wears by day. A shape that might be your neighbor, the quiet person at the gas station, the one who smiles just a little too long. The true horror isn't the monster in the desert. The true horror is the idea that the monster can put on a human face and walk among us in the day, waiting for the shadows to grow long again. So, as you go about your life, remember the Skinwalker. Remember that some boundaries exist for a reason, that some names shouldn't be spoken into the dark, and that sometimes the most terrifying thing isn't the unknown. It's something wearing the skin of the known. Be careful out there. And maybe don't watch this video too late at night. And that's the thing about these stories, isn't it? It's never really about the monster in the shadows. It's about what that monster reveals about us. Our fears, our loves, and how thin the line really is between what's human and what's just wearing human skin. All right, crew, your turn. This is the part I live for. Have you ever heard something in the dark that sounded almost right? Maybe while camping or on a late-night drive? I'm not asking for a yes or no in the comments. I'm asking for your story. Tell me what happened. Let's see how many people have felt that same chill. Smash that like button if this deep dive into the unknown stuck with you. It genuinely helps the channel more than you know. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell. We do this every week, diving into the darkest corners of folklore, the unexplained, and the stories that keep you up at night. A huge thank you, as always, for watching, for being part of this strange little community we've built. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and maybe, just for tonight, keep a light on. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Good night.